post verification is ongoing. That one I can tell you that it's just the normal Liberian procrastination spirit where everybody will say, oh, that 90 days, we'll still get 30 motives, we'll still get 40 motives. But that post verification process is ongoing. All preparations have been made for it, and GAC will do that post verification. According to them, once they do it, they will do an amendment to the report and they will give their findings from it. But we can assure you that those individuals are not ghosts. Those lists are made, unfortunately, they were made available to the public through whatever leak or whatever.
No, but
those individuals.
It is part of the audit report.
Yeah,
everything there.
No,
I don't think anybody leaked something.
Even way before. You remember there was one time where there was a list of party all around, and they were saying, "Oh, I think our carriers will post there at one point say, oh, you got people there and run up back and on the payroll and all that kind of thing." That is the same. If you check it, it's the same 74. And as I said, when you check most of those people, those are individuals who actually work at the Ministry of State. Our audit focal person claims that GAC never asked for physical verification, only the files which they provided. GAC claims that they requested physical verification. But whatever the case is, there is a space there or an avenue for that physical verification to be done, and the Ministry of State is committed to do that. As I said from the beginning, our intent of calling the GAC to conduct an audit, the GAC didn't come up and go to the Ministry of State to conduct. We requested the audit at the Ministry of State. And the reason we did that is to be able to make sure we put all these transparency and accountability measures in place so that the ministry is run like every other ministry in Liberia.
I am told through sources that the supplementary payroll at the Ministry of State now may have gone up, allegedly to
That
maybe
is
more than 300. Is that possible?
No, that's
is
not.
it true?
It's not true. Supplementary payroll is now up to 300.
What is it now?
As I said, the CSA is currently ongoing a process, and they will be providing the information to the public as we go along.
No, but yeah, no, and you talk about
transparency.
It's
a little over 100
a
persons.
little over 100 persons now.
Yeah, but not 300.
Okay, I asked you a question earlier. You said you were going to answer. Is supplementary payroll good, wrong? Is it positive, negative? Is it bad?
So as I say, it depends. So where you do not have an administration or people in leadership who can manage this whole saying of, is the office of the president, we can do anything, is exploited. So the issue of supplementary at the Ministry of State is not last year, it's not the last 6 years. It has been in existence for a very, very long time.
Okay.
But it has been managed. It was not until this current administration, where we saw an expansion of supplementary period to 700 plus persons, that you saw that is a window of exploitation. And you know, as humans and with everything that happens, things are dynamic. So as you come to the realization, you have to put in measures. So now that we know that it's possible that if you just leave supplementary to the will and pleasure of the president because it's the office of the president, it can be exploited. Let's put in policy at the Ministry of State and put in a national policy at the level of the CSA to handle that. As a matter of fact, what we have done at the Ministry of State is to transfer that entire payroll to the CSA and tell them, manage it. We don't want to manage it. Come out of your policy, re-verify these individuals. And there was a point that they raised that we did not do vetting for people.
Yeah.
You cannot, there are just certain positions you cannot vet for. But what we did was to make sure that the qualifications and requirements for obtaining
but some of them that I'm seeing here are quite vettable. If that is a word. I know that certain people in the president's home office will not need to be vetted. Yeah, that's true. But certain jobs I'm seeing.
So what I've just said is, so now what we have done is we have turned over everything to CSA. CSA is going through a fresh process of that list. In line with their procedure, they will do whatever they're supposed to do to make sure that that list or that batch of employees within government meets all of the requirements as at the level of the CSA. They will do the vetting. We are not going to be involved in it. We have turned over that period to the CSA
two more quick questions before we take a few calls. One could say, if you have 100 plus now in over a year, by the time 6 years come to an end, you could have approached the 700 number too.
It's not possible because now it's with the CSA. There is no way CSA is going to allow us to bloat the period. That is why we have turned over that right. that right to say that it's the president office, we can put anybody there. We have turned it over to the CSA so that like CSA has managed all other government personnel, they will manage that particular group and ensure that it is not exploited by us or anyone else coming after us.
What do you say to people who say you put other people down just to give your partisans and put your people to give them jobs too? That's why you put the other supplementary workers down.
Well, I just took time and explained the rationale behind.
No, I know, but
yeah,
what
that the rationale
behind directly to those people
behind closing. I can tell you for a fact we did not do that. That was not the rationale behind closing that payroll to say, because even on that payroll, there are a lot of unity partisans who were affected by it. I know that because they came to me. Some of them will bring a party ID card. I've been with the party for this no more yet. I've been with the party for this no more yet. So there were a lot of people who claimed to be unity partisans on that particular list. But at that point, it was an administrative decision to take. And that decision was taken irrespective of political affiliation.
Her name is Cornelia Kura, Deputy Minister for Administration, Ministry of State. Few calls, 777-700-995, 555-995-995. Let's take few calls. Welcome, let's hear you.
I'm Eric People. I'm calling for two.
Go ahead, let's hear you.
Yeah, Madam Minister, thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you very much. I want to tell.
Okay, thanks so kindly. Welcome, let's hear you.
Yeah. Good evening, Julius, and good evening, Madam Colinos.
Go ahead.
This is Yaga Chi Kamoyu. You know about the TV number 10 UV Secretary General. And I phone in from a small resident to be precise. Madam Colinos, thank you very much, and you have clearly, stated the entire happening at the Ministry of State and out of the statements that are coming from the TSA. Thank you for making that clarification. So the issue is, at times, you have the TMA and we also have the information person that who, sometimes responsible for this thing, it should be coming in. And we also encourage that as our leaders are working, that we fought for, if you find means of people, who struggle to have this position. I'll be willing to work with these people, but we have a lot of people who are in the system that's not even waiting for.
But man, that one, you come in talk on the radio here. When you want to that one, when you go to your party meeting, you're talking. Welcome, let's hear you. What's your name?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead quickly. Yeah, go ahead.
And let me say, even to the minister, someone take us from Broadway, this is 17. So let me appreciate you for bringing her on, and let me say thank to her for the 17th May. I mean, sometimes we expect this from you people, and we also expect for you people to accept the president, because the reason why you were chosen among millions of human beings is because the president had expected confidence in you. And at this point in time, we should not be hearing about corruption allegations around the president, even though nobody on the earth is perfect. But in the office of the president, you guys gotta be careful. We pray for you guys every day, and you gotta be different when it comes to governance.
Okay, thanks so kindly. Let's take another person right here. Welcome. Let's hear you quickly.
GSD Eric Barry here.
Go ahead, Eric.
Thanks for the clarity, Madam Minister. But I want to look at how you people derive at the people's severance benefit. I know you are discussing 13.2, the right to convert casual employment to full-time or part-time. But here's the situation. That 13.2 you talk about, the employee has the right to notify or change of status. And also, when you look at B, the employer also have the right to notify the employees about a change of status. So if those two things were not done, they didn't do it, you didn't do it, then there's a situation right there. Now, these people wouldn't be at fault if you wrote them to change or notice to change their status, and if they failed to change their status, whatever action is taken is on them.
Okay.
Government being the higher custodian of documentation, you should be the one telling us now what has happened to the document of those people. Those people put in 8 hours of their time, like the employee, like
okay. Thanks so kindly, Eric. Yeah.
So how did you derive at the 2 weeks and not giving those people at least three months, which is 3 years?
Okay. Thanks so kindly. The GSC has asked them to welcome. Let's hear you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Brown Tate from Johnsonville.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I follow you and the deputy minister. And thank you for the way she answered and the way you asked your question. But the issue that I look at is that so it means that you got also listen, follow the civil service director when you are on Mika. So it means that the supplementary payroll now is that these are people that anytime government come, new government come, all these supplementary people, they will deem themselves resign. So that the new government will take another supplementary payroll that what the deputy minister is saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so kindly. Two more quickly. Welcome. Let's hear you. Hello. Okay, you're not talking. Welcome. Let's hear you.
Julius.
Yes, go ahead quickly.
Julius, good evening. And let me say good evening to the Deputy Minister.
We don't have enough time, 30 seconds.
My name is Theophilus C. Tobe II, and I speak officially for the Bwaka Council. I'm in Monrovia. Julius, I'm not surprised, that the leadership of Cornelia Kratoba at the level of the presidency. I know when the captors of the People's Revolution are in positions of authority.
But thank you. You have praised her. She has done well. Thank you. Let's take this message. Is the young lady saying there were absolutely no policies that the CDC government met to work on? Now she is saying they came and put together brand new policies. This is laughable. So my Ellen didn't do well at that same ministry. CDC didn't meet anything from UP. Okay. We go back to her. I know the interest is high. A whole lot of you want to have your say, but we go back to her the next 1 minute. Yeah, you can.
And this is something that's unique about a Unity Party. When President Boakai decided to contest in 2017, the first thing he did was to acknowledge the mistakes that had been made by the Unity Party government herself, and then proffer solutions on how we address those mistakes. Similarly, when I was doing my presentation, at no point did I cherry pick on what had happened at the Ministry of State. The Ministry of State, prior to our going there, had absolutely no policies. And the reason was because it's the office of the president. You cannot restrict the office of the president. With the political will and the blessings of our president, JMB, and his commitment to ensuring accountability and transparency, he has waived that right to say that there should be no restriction and has approved for us to have all of these policies. We are hoping that next administrations will be able to uphold these policies. The second thing that we want to say is, for the very first time at the Ministry of State, we now have the internal audit agency has a representation there. That never happened in the past. No other entity was allowed to come and do any audit function at the Ministry of State. But for the first time, we have internal audit there, which means if there is any transaction that I as administration or the minister proper tries to put in place, an internal audit tells us, I'm not putting my clearance on this, we have to make sure we comply before. That is a change that we have brought to the Ministry of State to ensure accountability, transparency, and ensure that the money that is being given to the Ministry of State is used for the intended purpose. Another issue that was raised about the severance benefit and the right to notify change in status. I agree, it's there, and that's why I gave the citation of the law so other people can have the opportunity to read what I'm citing. But this administration had to make a decision on whether you're communicating a change of status or you closing the payroll. So at that time, as at the 721, the decision was close the payroll and not change status of employees there. So that is why we didn't do that. What we gave was what we call handshake, and that was
the GSC said,
and that was but that is something that can be taken up with the government, because at this point,
but people don't necessarily need to go to court. The government has to comply with the GSC recommendation.
Exactly. So it becomes a government's a prerogative. The Justice Ministry, as we are providing justification here, can provide additional justification as to why we could not have considered them under classification of employees that will require severance benefit.
Thanks so kindly for being here. We appreciate it.
But thank you for allowing us to sit on this show to provide the necessary clarity. We know that our society, for the most part, with the introduction of breaking news, and everything has become more callable. So as I said,
you call introduction of breaking news. There has always been breaking news from time to time.
Breaking news. So Julius, our doors are always open. Please feel free. Anytime you need clarity on anything related to the Ministry of State, let us know, and we'll be here to provide that clarity.
That's how we go. My name is Julius Jed. Next up is the news.